particular technical deep dive, cohort 4 for FY 2023. So Textiler, I know maybe for now you have been a member, you might have been a member or attended some of our sessions at one point or the other for you to probably have gotten information about this particular training series that we are just starting today. Textiler is a community actually that's help women or empower women or help to increase the number of women that goes into the STEM space. He help people that are just leaving school, people who might have also been in the industry or that have been working before and then decided or feel it's time for them to switch from one role to the other. And it's a community that have in the past 2 years have empowered a lot of women. Don't get it wrong, not because the community is majorly for women, that's why you might be hearing a lot about women. But yes, we welcome men, we welcome guys, we welcome young, and vibrant men as well to join the session, because it's actually empowering everyone who is ready to learn and take advantage of the free time the various mentors are putting in to be able to help you come to speed or get you to an employable state at a particular stage in our lives. So it's for everyone who really want to join. So I just felt to tell you a little bit about Textiler, a community, and why this particular training is starting, and for us to take advantage of it as much as we can, and see how it can help us to kind of move forward in our daily lives or our career journey. All right, so for this particular series or for this particular session, we are going to be looking at the Azure fundamental class. So officially welcoming you to the Azure, that's cloud computing, or specifically Microsoft Azure. So we are starting this one, or this particular first in the series of first in the track, being the beginner track. We're starting with the fundamental aspect of Azure or cloud computing, really. So my name is Titilope Bello, a Microsoft 365. You might be wondering, this is Microsoft 365, but it's talking about Azure. Yes. I major rather in Microsoft 365, but also very conversant and then passionate about Microsoft Azure, for the fact that Microsoft 365 is actually riding on Microsoft Azure. Yes, it's a type of service in Microsoft Azure. So I'm an MCT, and I'm a textiler mentor or instructor. Being instructor, this is my second year of being instructor on Textiler, and this is my LinkedIn profile. You can reach me, connect at any time. Okay, so now that is about me. I know that we do not have so many people on this call today, so it means we can have room to get to know each other, to know who is on the call, and to give us a little bit about your background and your expectation. So this is important to help us to be able to, at least as the class is going on, we might have people who might already be in the STEM field and trying to change from one role to the other. And we will have people also, like I said earlier, who have not, whose role or career has never been in the tech space, or and then they are trying to switch. I mean, technology space, and they're trying to switch. And we might have those who are just leaving school and kind of wondering what is all these jargons. So just kind of tell us briefly about yourself, your experience for this class. Are you currently working? And that's it. So the floor is open. Who's going to go first? And okay, so I haven't gotten to that slide that will tell us maybe the rule of the class. I just wanted to know us first. I will get to that. So if you're wondering how am I going to speak, so just kind of unmute yourself. Well, you will see a microphone icon on your current Teams call, on this call right now. Unmute yourself and then you can speak. But if you feel you do not want to introduce yourself, it's fine also, we can move on, but I will love to meet you one-on-one. Who's going first? Do you want me to call him? Okay, thank you.
No, I'm going first. That's all right.
All right.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. So my name is Omotese Atukum. That's my last name. So you say company affiliation. Okay, so I currently work with the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I have a first degree in mathematics. I have a second degree in information security and computer crime. So I have been in the tech space. I've done 18 years work experience in the IT industry. However, I've switched to business development circumstantially. Yes, I'm now in business development where I currently work. Yeah, so I haven't really had much experience with Microsoft Azure. So part of my expectations for this course is to be more conversant with it, know how to work with it. And also, I'm looking to switch back into tech, which is one of the reasons I'm trying to brush myself up so that when opportunities in tech role comes up, I'll be able to fit in and be qualified to fit into those roles.
Thank you very, very much. Yes, thank you. We hope by at the end of the course, you are going to be able to, you know, get that ability, or begin to understand back things, or how the roles in the tech specific area work. So thank you very much. And then who's going next? Next.
Okay. Let me go next.
All right.
Okay, my name is Wagu Susan. I'm a student of National Open University. I'm studying public health. Miss Susan, yeah, I'm single. So my Microsoft Azure experience, I've never had experience in it. I just like a tech enthusiast. I want to gain more knowledge in cloud computing. And my expectation for the course is to at least gain basic knowledge about cloud computing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, I guess I'm the only male here. My name is Tamuna Toindapa, and I have a lot of expectations right here. I joined one of the sessions, the last session they had artificial intelligence with Microsoft Azure. So I'm already a user. I'm already an Azure user, but I hope to expand my knowledge on Azure and get my hands really dirty doing a lot of projects.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fiona Kuriabo. I work in the University of Cape Coast. I recently developed an interest in cybersecurity, so I'm in the introductory stages. And I have started studying Azure, but since I was studying it on my own, I have been moving at a very slow pace. So I joined this class to hopefully move and grow together with everyone. And by the end of this course or this session, I want to get the certification to the foundations of Azure. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I might be having difficulty pronouncing your name. Please, can you pronounce your name again?
Fiona. I'm Fiona.
Okay, Fiona. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Kosi Etsimbuk. I'm currently a student at Seaside University doing a master's in data science. Um, my expectations for this course, I really want to learn cloud computing and also see what roles it plays in the use of data science. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. So there's somebody on the call. This is one of our madam or one of our oga in textiler, and she's Niniola. So I'm sure she's just here to ensure that we are all right. So we have somebody who just joined us, Lola Ade. Yeah. So sorry, Lola Adeyemi. Do you mind introducing yourself? Welcome.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, able mentor, Titi. This is still Ellie, the president.
Oh yes.
I'm just switching over to my laptop. Yeah. So I'd just like to welcome everyone and can assure you at the end of this class, you'd not only become an expert, but you'd have hands-on. I wish you all the best and we look forward to seeing all your certificates coming and getting that international job. All the best. Thank you so much, Titi, for all you do. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Enjoy your
ma'am.
training. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So Lola Adeyemi, do you want to introduce yourself before we start? We're just about starting proper. Okay. You can unmute yourself if you're speaking. We can't hear you yet. All right. So I guess I'm not sure if she's there, but if you are there and you're having issue with audio, you can kindly maybe go out and then rejoin to see if you can fix your audio. So thank you very, very much, everyone, for joining the call once again. And then we hope at the end of the day, I will be able to meet and exceed your expectation. For those who are here to write, to be able to gain experience that is required to write at least to take the first step in certification. We hope we will be able to meet your expectation. And then for those of us that have already been in the, been trying our hands on Azure at one point or the other, but probably want to get more insight into, the capability and how to use it. We hope to meet and exceed your expectations as well. So I'm going to be moving on. And then my next slide is a little bit of housekeeping rules. And so the class is going to take place every Saturday by 10 a.m. Also, it's supposed to be 1 hour, but what we have done is to do a max of 2 hours. So 2 hours being once we finish the usual slides or usual talk, we want to kind of stay on the call for a while to try to start our labs, and then while the instructor is still on the call. So it means if there are any issue, we can you can right there on the call bring it up, if it's required, you will be required to share your screen, maybe to show the particular issue or area you're having problem, and then we can guide you. And that will also give other students or other participants the ability or opportunity to learn from the issue any one of us is facing, and learn on how to kind of resolve it. And this will also give us room to collaborate and kind of share ideas together. So so a bit of housekeeping rule, like I said, yes, we'll talk about the timing, and then the next one is team score. So each time you are joining the meeting, one thing you need to be conversant or conscious about is your audio and your camera. It is very, very important. Camera especially, considering that it's a weekend and we're all at home. It's possible some of us we're still in our bedroom, just up just for the purpose of ensuring that we join the call. So ensure that when you click the join button to join the meeting, ensure you check the audio. From the screen, you will see a screenshot. Let me get my laser. So you see a screenshot that is showing you before you join. Check that your audio or your camera is kind of turned off. When it is blue, it is this blue? Yes. When it is blue, like the number 2 icon, it means it is turned on. So make sure you turn it off before you want to. And if you still feel you want to turn it on, actually I'm supposed to turn my own camera on so that you can see me. So let me just quickly do that. Where's the background? So, and if you want to kind of show your video, you can use the background feature of Teams. That's the background effect, just right under it. Adjust it to select a background so that at least they don't see what's happening at the background wherever you are. And it's also possible maybe your children are in the same room with you, so at least they are not disturbed. This is just for the purpose of data privacy and then data protection. So all right, then the next thing is to ensure that you turn off your audio. This is to prevent maybe the kind of disturbance in case maybe you're joining late and the class is already going, so you do not distract, the class. So ensure you turn it off before you join the call finally. And while you are in the call, as your icons, they are right at the top of your screen. If you are using the latest Teams, which I believe every one of us is currently using the latest Teams app or the Teams web. So you have all your icons at the top. One of it is a mic. So if you need to speak, you can unmute yourself to speak. And then when you finish speaking, you can mute yourself back. And then we have the feature or the raise hand features. You see the first icon, notice none of it is enabled right now. That's why they are all looking like this. Now, the moment you enable anyone, for instance, chat, maybe you want to drop a message or you want to ask question and you do not want to speak, you can just drop the message in the chat. The chat will be right. That's the first thing on your meeting window control panel, control bar. Then the third one is the use of raise hand feature. Now, this is useful. However, there are times you might be raising your hand, probably because I'm on the slide, I might not see it. So if you are raising your hand so that your hand does not pay you, you can kind of speak out in case I didn't see it on time. And then, like you can see here, once you unmute your mic, it's go from the strike microphone to non-strike one. And finally, reaction during the call. You can make use of all this, at your own disposal. So, moving on. So this course, about the course is oh sugar. kind of it's not. Yeah, sorry. Okay. About this course, the course is about uh, it's all about it's provide you rather with fundamental or foundational level knowledge on cloud computing, uh, specifically cloud computing. Then from there we'll move to Azure architectures and services, and then we'll take a look at Azure management and governance. So it used to be more than this before now, and Microsoft have kind of reduced it because now we have a lot of uh, um, what's it called? A lot of fundamental certification now that people, so they are kind of reducing the level of things to concentrate on, or material or item or areas to concentrate on when it comes to fundamental for different roles or track. Then like audience for this for the course is just the beginning. You don't need to know much about IT before about cloud computing, but it is also recommended if, or it's better, or people who are already in the tech space, we have more, they will be able to understand the course or easily, yes, compared to someone who is not in the tech space. But don't worry, we are here for you. Everybody will be able to pick one or two things. Now, the course is a one-day course. It's supposed to be a one-day course. However, because we know we cannot sit here for a whole day, at least supposed to be like a 8 to maybe 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 kind of, or 9 to 4 kind of training. But since we do not have so much time to stay on the call for the whole day, we are spreading it over 5 to 6 periods, 5 to 6 weekends periods for us. Okay. So the course agenda here used to be 6. Now it is just 3. The first module here is cloud concept. Yeah, cloud concept. Then we will move on to Azure architecture and services, and finally we'll touch Azure management and governance. So these are the 3 major parts, but for our class we broke it down into about 5 classes. So regarding certification, for those of us that want to take certification, this is kind of the way it is being divided across the 3 area that you need to focus on in terms of grading or score in percentage. So if you notice on the Azure architecture and services, you have the highest percentage or highest weight there. So it's marked really to the fundamental exam, and also as you take the class, there's also the Microsoft Learn, the available one on Microsoft Learn that you can also subscribe to. So now for lab, there's going to be, we'll see how we can maneuver the challenge anyway. What we are going to be making use of is the Azure Learn Sandbox. However, if you already have Azure subscription that you are using and you still have subscription or credits available there, it's fine. You can make use of that. But for those of us that maybe have dollar cards and you can use it, what happened is, for you to sign up for the free Azure, which will give you $200, for you to sign up for that, you will need to impute your credit card. You cannot sign up for free Azure or trial Azure subscription without making use of your credit card. However, the credit card that you are putting, Microsoft is not going to remove money. Maybe they might remove $1 kind of, but majorly sometimes they remove it, they revert it back. It's just for them to confirm that you are real, and then in case you use beyond what you're supposed to use for the trial, and they can bill you. But for the first 30 days, they are not going to bill you as long as you did not use beyond the free 200 credit that is made available to you. So in order for us to maneuver the use of credit card for those of us that might be in Nigeria like us, is we have some limitation now on using a Naira card for any transaction or any international transaction. So that's a limitation. So for those of us who might be using the Azure Lens, the Microsoft Lens Sandbox, and there is also another option for you to acquire the Azure subscription environment without using credit card. I hear on the call why some people were introducing themselves that they are students of a particular school. So if you are a student and you have student accounts or student ID, like email ID, you can kind of use your student account to subscribe for Azure without using a credit card, though that is only going to give you $100. So these are the various ways which we have, but majorly for those who are in Nigeria and are not students and cannot use their Naira card, they can make use of the Microsoft Learn environment. So let's start proper. The first module in the course is cloud concepts. And then these are the content or the the outline for the cloud concept. So one of the area we're going to be looking at is the cloud computing, and here we are going to understand what the cloud computing is. We will talk a little bit about shared responsibility when it comes to cloud computing. And then we'll talk about the cloud model. We'll talk about the expenditure type. So when it comes to the capital expenditure against operational expenditure, how much what's the flexibility or what's the variation between the two costing type, we'll be able to see. Then we'll talk about cloud benefits. That's the benefit of going cloud as against remaining, in your own local data center. Then finally, on this module, we are going to be talking about cloud services types. So starting now with cloud computing. Cloud computing, under this particular module, we're going to be looking at defining cloud computing, like I said. We'll describe the shared responsibility. We'll learn about the cloud models. The models here now include the private, the public, and the hybrid cloud model. Then we'll look at a few use cases for the different cloud models that we have, and then describe the consumption-based model that is available, which is an attribute of cloud computing. And finally, we are going to compare the cloud pricing model. So now, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing generally, it actually refers to the practice of using remote servers. So maybe some people are wondering, what is remote server? Any device, even your own laptop, can actually be a server. So a server is a device that renders services that a client in technology. You have server, you have client. So a server is a device that renders services which a client come to consume. Part of services that a server can be a website, that's HTTPS service. So, and then clients that can consume such service include browser. So your internet browser is a client that consumes resources that a server, that a web server is providing. So these servers now that we're talking about in cloud computing, when it comes to cloud computing, is the fact that they are hosted in somebody's data center, where they store, the storage and management of the data is really majorly on the data center or responsibility of the data center owner or provider. So these servers, or the cloud servers that we're talking about, they are accessed majorly via the internet. You cannot access cloud servers, or you cannot talk about cloud computing without the importance, or without talking about internet. For you to access anything on the cloud, you require the internet service from your various service provider for you, that's internet service provider, for you to be able to access it. So these data centers are actually owned majorly by third-party companies, companies like Amazon, companies like Microsoft, companies like Google, Oracle. There are a whole lot of cloud service provider out there. And using any organization that is using cloud computing can actually take advantage of the various benefits around scalability, around flexibility, around the cost, the fact that when you subscribe for cloud computing, you are only paying for services that you are using. So that's one of the key benefits. You pay for what you're using. You don't have to pay for all like you will do when you have your own data center, where you have to set it up. So what is powering cloud computing really? It is all about virtualization. So when we talk about virtualization, we are talking about a situation whereby you emulate an hardware or emulate a device to create another copy of that device. So virtualization technology allow you to be able to take a physical machine like your laptop, install a software on it that allow you, that's a virtualization software that allow you to be able to run another another machine or another computer on the same laptop as if it is physical. So you access it as if it is physical. So in essence, so not to maybe confuse us so much, what majorly cloud computing is doing is to deliver computing services over the internet, like I've said, and then enabling faster innovation, flexible resource access, and then while paying, for what you use. And when we talk of resources, we are talking about computing resources. Computing resources is inclusive of the hardware server, the server hardware itself. Those are the computing resources. So they give you the ability now. Once the service provider enable the virtualization technology on that hardware, you are then able to create what we call virtual machines. Virtual machines are clients on the host that you have enabled hypervisor or virtualization on. So you create virtual machine, and then you can access those virtual machines as if you're accessing a physical computer that you place somewhere. So you don't even know that it's virtual machine really. And what it's doing is relying or is sharing the computing resource of that particular machine, like the CPU, is sharing the CPU of the physical machine, is sharing the memory of the physical machine, is sharing the network of this physical machine, is sharing the storage on that particular physical machine. That is what majorly, cloud computing is enabling you to do. Then Also, networking, there are services like networking services. So it's not necessarily maybe servers that you want to set up. It might be network services that you just want to make use of in the cloud. So like setting up a network for different sites that you might have for your users to be able to kind of connect to the resources or the data you are making available for them as an organization or as an individual. And also other type of storage. There are other type of services you have in cloud computing. This is storage is also one. So how does this storage work really? So you might have a situation whereby you have a service or an application or resource in your local for your business that involve a lot of generating a lot of data. So let's take uh, um, construction industry, for instance. They deal with a lot of images, they deal with a lot of drawings, they deal with a lot of documents. So for such an organization or industry, they will be looking at a kind of storage that can give them such enough storage space where they can make use of and store those data in and then be able to have access to them at any point in time. So you have other cloud resources. So that way they would then subscribe to a cloud storage, and all they will need is just a URL or a link to get to that storage and dump file into them and then access those files at the same time whenever they need them. So that is majorly about cloud computing. There are other services, like I said, there's what we call container services, there's backup services, there's database services, there are security services also relating to, as it concerns cloud. So when you are using cloud, you do not bother yourself about the underlying infrastructure. That's not a concern of yours. If the hard drive on the machine or the physical machine, the physical server that the OEM is actually making use of crashes, it's not actually your headache. They will make sure they fix it. And it being crashing or crashing doesn't mean your services will be down. So that means the way the cloud computing, the way the cloud is designed in such a way that it include what we call redundancy, it include what we call high availability, a lot of things that ensure that if they are promising you a kind of 5 nines or even 6 nines, that's 99.9, or somebody who's promising you 100%, mean the service will never go down. But no cloud service provider is going to provide you with a 100% 100% uptime, because at some point or the other there might be one or two issues, but whatever issue they are having is not supposed to affect you so much. So let's talk a bit about shared responsibility. When it comes to cloud computing, the responsibility is shared across, is shared, yes, with both the customer and then the cloud computing service provider. So we've talked about it, that you do not have business with the underlying infrastructure of cloud computing. You do not have business with that. If there's power downtime, if there's a thunder strike, if there's hard drive failure or CPU is getting hot on that machine, is not actually the responsibility of the customer to fix it. It is the responsibility of the service provider to kind of fix it. So now, some people think when they are going to cloud, because a particular organization is providing this cloud service, it means maybe job is over. No, job is not over. That is where this shared responsibility comes into play. If you look at the screen before you, you have the different we are going to get there. We're going to get to type of cloud computing services. But we just brought this up here for to quickly see it. On the all blue lines represent that it is the customer that is setting up the infrastructure on their own. So if you notice, if you have what we call on-premises infrastructure where you set up your own data center, you have a building, you provide a building, provide cooling, provide power, provide surveillance, that's physical security, logical security, and everything. All of those responsibility fall on you as a customer. And then if you now talk about going to the cloud, you see that a lot of the resources, everything that is blue is actually the responsibility or the role that the customer play in the cloud computing space. And everything on the light blue falls on the service provider that is providing the cloud services. So when we talk about information, let's start from the bottom. From the bottom, we are going to look at the physical data center. The physical data center, when it comes to cloud, the service provider is going to be providing it. They will provide the building, provide cooling, provide rack space, provide lighting, provides fire control. That's a yes, fire control. Provide every form of control that is out there that they can put into place. That is going to be handled by the service provider. Moving up the ladder, we look at the physical network. Physical network here is inclusive of the switches, inclusive of the routers, the firewalls, and everything that have to do with the network, the load balancer, that's physical load balancer. It's actually the responsibility of the service provider to provide it, as against if you are setting it up yourself on-prem. Then moving up the ladder, we have physical host. The physical host is not the physical computer that you are going to be making use of. So the service provider is also responsible for this. Now, when it comes to operating system, for the different type of services, we will talk about this later, but the SaaS mean software as a service, the PaaS mean platform as a service, and the IaaS the full term is infrastructure as a service. So if you look at the operating system aspect of it, for the SaaS and the PaaS, you notice that the responsibility is on the service provider. However, for the IaaS, the operating system responsibility is fall on you as a customer. We'll see the reason why. Because for under this IaaS, what you are setting up is the virtual machine. So once you set up the virtual machine, selecting the operating system that you want to use. When it comes to managing, updating, fixing fix and breaks, break fixes, applying, fixing bugs and all of that, it is your responsibility to take care of it. But for the PaaS and the SaaS, it is the responsibility of the service provider. Network control. So network control, this have to do with it has to do with how the network is being accessed. That's here we talk about physical network, the switches, the router. So the control on those particular devices and services when it comes to network. On the SaaS is the responsibility of the service provider, but on the PaaS, it is shared responsibility. While on the IaaS, you configure your network the way you want in whichever cloud space you are using, but specifically in Azure. Then application control. So application control for SaaS, it is all full responsibility of the service provider, and it is shared by both you and the service provider for IaaS, for PaaS, and then for IaaS, it is your sole responsibility. So for identity and directory services, here you have shared responsibility across SaaS and PaaS. While for IaaS, it is your full responsibility to know which identity service you want to set up and then make use of. Because you can set up a virtual machine, you can actually bring your own identity service that you are using into the platform and continue to use it for your resources and your users. And then for accounts and identity, these are all responsibility of the customer. So this is in terms of management. When you subscribe for Azure, you have identity service that come with it. For creating users, managing how the permissions that the users have on the various resources that you make available, deleting users, updating user record, that is now you that is going to be managing it. So that the fact that you are subscribing to software as a service and service from a service provider doesn't mean they're going to do everything for you. So management of your users still falls on you. Then when it comes to device, that's mobile devices and PC, the management of it, it is on you. If you see all the bars, you have the responsibility of everything. So you control the kind of devices your user use to access cloud service. You control whether they are mobile. If you want to encourage what we call BYOD, that bring your own device, you have to also be ready to provide the necessary security measure in place to ensure that your device, your resources on those devices are safe and secure. Then finally, information and data. The customer is responsible for all the information and data that is hosted on any of the platform. So as you use the services, you generate data. Yes, you generate data day in, day out, you generate data. You need to keep this data. How you use the data, it's is on you. So there are times where maybe you have a challenge or you have a problem or you have issues and probably you raise support. So Microsoft, if you have to do with your data, they will not touch it. Rather, if it is necessary that they have to do something, they will have to make requests and you have to approve it. And such request approval does not stop on even on your table. Before anyone that is assigned to resolve that particular problem for you is able to access that particular information, they are actually going to go through different level of approval and monitoring or supervising or supervision before they can access it. So now let's talk about the cloud computing model. So we have different models. We have the private clouds. The private cloud here have to do with you as an organization, as an individual, setting up your own data center. That means, like I said in the previous slide, when it comes to cloud computing on the on-premises side of cloud computing, the private cloud is actually a data center that is either set up by you or it can also be set up by another company where the company provides the physical space like a rack space. We have rack space, we have rack center. So there are other service providers also out there that provide the building, they provide the rack space. You will bring your own server and use. So such cloud is like a co-location, co-location data center. So it's a private cloud that can only be accessed by you, who is the owner of that data center, or the owner of the server that you carry to that particular co-located data center. So nobody else can touch or access that particular data center or resources. Then, like we said, organization is solely responsible for operating the services they provide in private data center. And it does not provide access. Yes, that's one thing. Does not provide access to users outside of the organization. But so that's when we mean users outside the organization, it means only users within the company can have access to the resources. So let's say a Microsoft user and a Google user. Microsoft set up a data center, a private data center for his user, and then a Google user now make request to access Microsoft resource that is hosted in Microsoft's own private data center. It's not going to be possible because the resources there are just for Microsoft employee only. So now, however, an organization can then make the resources available over the internet to their users. So that means if their users are working from home or they travel from one country to the other, they are not prevented, or they are not left or made handicapped by not having access to the resources they need to be able to do their work. So organizations can set up private data center and at the same time make those resources available or accessible to their users from anywhere in the world also by doing what we call publishing. So they have to publish the resources. They have to get public IP addresses. They have to get public name that's going to a domain host or yes, buy a domain name in the public space, get a public DNS registrar and register that domain, then create different service records that they can use to access different services and tie those records to IP addresses. IP addresses here mean public IP addresses. Then they now need to go to their firewalls and kind of instruct the firewalls to say, if a user anywhere on the internet query this particular name, like tt.com, or maybe TT's website, www.tt.com, that's TT's website, for instance, or Textiler's website. So make sure you go to this DNS or go to this particular DNS and identify the IP that is tied to it. If it is this particular IP, maybe like 198.16.8.2, send it to this particular location. So the DNS server, the public register, will be the one to be able to direct the resources now to the exact location where that resource is located in your data center, and user can have access to it. Now, moving on, let's talk about the public cloud. So the public cloud, on the other hand, is not hosted by you now. It's not you that is setting it up. It is a data center that is provided by a big company. They are usually big organizations that can provide such service because of the level of cost or finance that is involved. So organizations like Microsoft, organizations like Google, they are tech giants that have the funds to be able to set up such a vast data center and set up resources for people to come and access and just pay them a token for those resources that they are accessing. So in the public data center, like I said, they are owned by and hosted by cloud service provider like Microsoft. They provide resources and services to multiple organizations. Remember, private cloud is just for your users, but now public cloud, you are providing to multiple users across multiple organizations. So all they need to do is to have internet access to be able to access the resources from anywhere in the world. And now let's move on. The third model we have is the hybrid model. So what happens if an organization already have their own private data center that they've set up? And now, because they want to begin to free the resources here, we mean maybe the hardware, one thing with private data center is the moment there's a new update or a new version of the application that you are hosting in your data center, you have to either buy the license. If you do not have maybe an active maintenance contract that allow you to download the latest version of that software or application, you need to buy a new license. There is possibility that your hardware cannot accommodate or will not be able to host the new software. So what you have to do also is to upgrade the hardware as well. So the overhead cost over time is increasing. Though once you set it up in the data center, in your private data center, you might not need to do anything else other than the daily management of it until maybe like a 3-4 year space where you might need to change the hardware entirely again. So public now, if you are beginning to say, okay, it's time for us to shift and move these resources to a service provider who can provide services for us at any time without, service downtime, and you can start thinking of going the hybrid way. So that means you will establish what we call an hybrid connection. That's a kind of handshake between the public and the private cloud that allow the private cloud to be able to see resources in the public space, and users of the public cloud can still access the private resources, the resources in your private data center, without knowing that they're actually accessing it from your local data center. So hybrid cloud give you benefits. You have the characteristics of resource location. That's specific resource can run either on-prem or in the cloud. That's in your private data center or in the public data center. The other instance where you might be going hybrid are this. If you have a compliance need or request that says some type of data must only be hosted in your country, cannot leave your country, such data or such resource, you have to make sure it remains in your private data center. While resources that can be accessed publicly can go to public cloud. Then other instance might be in terms of costs. So when organizations begin to move to cloud, they might have constraint on cost of finance. So which means they can move gradually. They do not want to do what we call a big bang. A big bang means once you say you are ready for the cloud, all migration to the cloud will be done once, a kind of maybe on a weekend kind of, no time for anybody to think. So it means you have to plan it. And once you start, you must finish it before, and get rid of everything that you now have on-prem. But cost can be a challenge. And in this case, you'll be going the hybrid cloud model. Then you have control. Okay, control, like I've already talked about the what's it called, the compliance control or requirement, where you are required to keep certain resources on-prem and they are locally to you or in your country, and then the rest can be moved to the cloud. Then skills here have to do with technical skills of maintaining your private cloud. So like I said, private cloud, you are responsible for everything. So it means every services you are setting up, you also need to have people who are skilled enough to be able to maintain and administer those services. So this can also be a reason why you will go hybrid cloud. So comparing the three type of cloud is that for public cloud, you do not have capital expenditure. Capital expenditure have to do with all the money that you have to spend if you have to set up your own data center by yourself. So you do not have there's no capital expenditure to scale up. I remember I said maybe in 3 years time, you have to kind of change your hardware. So that's or increase the storage. You might not need to change. It might be that you need to increase the storage size on that particular server hardware. So that's scaling up. Or yeah, so just like that. Then we talk of applications can be quickly provisioned and then deprovisioned. Agility is all that clouds have everything to do with agility. It is very fast for you to spin up resources. Then organization can only pay for resources that you use. When we talk about private cloud, hardware, we cannot overemphasize this. Hardware purchase, data center, in power, technical know-how, that's getting people, the right people for the right job. It's all, money to be spent. Organizations have complete control of resources and security. That is one thing about private cloud. You are responsible for all the resources. You are responsible for how you secure and how you protect your resources or data that are being generated within your private cloud or private data center. Then you are responsible for hardware maintenance and updates. So when new operating system come out, you need to upgrade, or are released, you need to upgrade that operating system. Microsoft or the various OEM release updates for their operating system or the software that you have purchased and installed. They release update at interval. It might be a monthly, a bi-monthly, a quarterly, or even a biannual updates release. So you will have to be the one to plan those updates. Then hybrid clouds. For hybrid cloud, is a shared responsibility. It provides the most flexibility in terms of moving moving resources here and there. So you can quickly move resource to the cloud, you can move it back. That's how flexible. When it comes to the clouds on its own, you can scale up your resources with just a few click of buttons. Then you can determine where to run your application, whether you want those applications to run in the cloud or you want them to remain on-prem. You can make that decision. Talking about security control, compliance, or legal requirements, these are attributes or things that can affect your decision on where a particular resource is going to be hosted. Let's look quickly at expenditures. There are two types of expenditures when it comes to cloud computing. We have the capital expenditure, that's called CAPEX, and then we have the operational expenditure, it's called OPEX. So for capital expenditure, the upfront spending of money on physical hardware is not on you. For cloud, it is on your service provider. For on-premises, it is on you. For hybrid cloud, the on-premise aspect is on you. The cloud aspect is on the service provider. So most of the time, they spread the cost of the infrastructure they have already set up across, over time, across multiple customers, and over time they are able to realize that physical capital expenditure that they invested in setting up that cloud services for you. Then cost from CAPEX have a value that reduces over time. When it comes to cloud, what you pay initially might not be what you pay as you are kind of renewing, or you might be able to reduce and increase at intervals. So that will also affect, the money that goes in, and how you spend your spending over time. Then operational expenditures, on the other hand, there are spendings that you do, that you invest, or you make on projects, products, and services as you need them. For cloud, it is a pay-as-you-go approach. For on-prem, it might be a one-off cost that there, but the ongoing operational expenditure have to do with, okay, the cooling that you're using, the NEPA bill that you have to be paying, the maintenance of the data center, in terms of they need to check the fire system regularly, the access control need to be maintained regularly, the routers and the switches need to be blown, and cable management, then the surveillance, the people, that's the technical people, you need to train them over time as they are managing the services. So then for clouds, when you come to cloud, your bill are immediate. You are billed immediately, and then you just pay only for what you need, as against the on-prem. So in this case, for majorly for OPEX, there is actually no there's no upfront payment for Apex, and then whatever you are paying, you just pay it immediately. So let's say you want to pay for a year, the organization has just paid for, they do annual payment. But the fact that they do annual payment for cloud service doesn't mean the OEM will remove the 1 year payment at once. What they do is they take it month by month, month by month. So that means if you choose not to continue the service the following month, they are not going to be paying for it. It won't be a situation of you have to meet the service provider to refund your money. No, because they are deducting your money over time. Then, so cloud computing, really, it operates what we call a consumption-based model. A consumption-based model, which means that you only pay for the resources that you use. So if you go to Azure Cloud, for instance, and you spin up a virtual machine, that virtual machine, while you are spinning it up, you need to state the size of hard drive you want. You need to select the size of memory that you want. You need to select the security feature that you want with it. So as you select them, you will only be paying for just those items that you are picking, or that you have chosen to provision. So with that, you are able to better predict costs. So if you know that this month I'm paying $1,000 for all the resources that I spin up, so it means there's possibility of you reducing your costs in the following month. That means depending on how the resources are being used. So if you have what we call peak periods, where maybe at the beginning of the month, like 3 weeks into the month, you might not have a lot of traffic. But at the 4th month in the month, you have a lot of traffic. So we'll take, for instance, salary payment for any organization. When at the beginning of the month, you won't see so much traffic when it comes to their email. But at the end of the month, or the last week of the month, when organizations are paying salary, there will be a lot of traffic on their email services. So that means every employee, you will see them, trying to check their emails if the company have paid or not, then the company trying to post, and every post is going to generate an email. So in that case, at a particular time, you're able to tell my consumption is going to go up. And at a particular time, my consumption is going to come down. We can also take a commerce site, for instance. Festive period, you see a lot of people going to your site to place order for items. But outside of festive period, the traffic on your site will be reduced. That's what it means by better cost prediction. So you're able to tell what you might be paying for the next month or billing month. Prices are for individual resources that are provided in the cloud. And then billing is based on your actual usage. So you are not going to pay for additional resources. And as you add additional resources in your cloud, you'll be paying extra for it. So let's quickly look at cloud benefits. Today, being the first day, we won't be having lab. We'll start our lab from next week. So that's why I'm still like kind of taking some of my time to try as much as possible to take it down. So looking at cloud benefits, let's look at the various benefits of cloud computing. And the first thing we are going to be looking at is the fact that it is highly available. Excuse me. Excuse me. So cloud computing is highly available. The cloud service provider, what they do is they ensure that they provision or they set up the resources in such a way that when it is highly available means you have more than one server doing one role. So if you are setting up a web server, you have more than one server that is hosting that web service. So that means if one server go down, another server will come up. This high availability can be in the same data center. Then you have what we call scalability. Scalability in this aspect, it have to do with we are talking about both vertical and horizontal scalability. So yeah, when we talk about vertical scalability or scaling, it's also referred to as scaling up. And then this is a process of adding additional resources to increase the power of an existing server. So when you provision a web service now, a website on a cloud service or a cloud service provider right now, and then based on that peak period of festive period, when there's a lot of traffic, you might want to go to that server to kind of add additional resources, like increasing the CPU of the server, increasing the memory of the server, maybe making the network, increasing the bandwidth that is available to that particular server. That is vertical scalability. Then we have horizontal scalability. Horizontal scalability is also referred to as scaling out. Now, this scaling out means I have one server before. I'm going to add 2 extra servers to my web server. Then I will add load balancer so that I can load balance and share the traffic between the 3 servers that I now have. So as if 3 people are trying to request resource, or 5 people, for instance, try to hit the website at the same time, what the load balancer and the load manager or traffic manager will do is to say, requester 1, go to server 1, requester 2, go to server 2, requester 3, go to server 3, then requester 4, you move it again to server 1, depending on what is configured for that for the servers. But scaling, what is actually mean is increasing the number of servers that you have as against just adding extra hard drive, adding extra memory. That's what scaling out mean. Then predictability, we have talked about that. In terms of cost, you are able to predict what your next cost is, and then you are able to plan for budget accordingly. And governance when it comes to cloud, there's a lot of information governance, and then what happened is the cloud service provider, they have to be certified in a lot of compliance certification, like maybe IPA, like GDPR. So information governance is something that is associated with the cloud. They ensure that they do not access your resources without you knowing about it. Then talking about reliability, let's talk about elasticity. Sorry. So as your workload as a change in the cloud due to maybe spike in demand or drop in demand, also cloud computing service actually can compensate by automatically adding resources or reducing resources. So you can configure your cloud service in such a way that if it is receiving a lot of traffic, like the peak period, it will automatically, instead of you going to go and scale up by yourself, it will automatically increase the resources accordingly. And then once the traffic comes down, it will also bring down the resources. As it increases, your cost will increase. Then as it reduces these resources back, your cost will also reduce back. That is what elasticity is all about. Then talking about reliability, in terms of cloud computing is mostly reliable, and most of the time they provide or they have data backup, they have disaster recovery plan in place, they have data replication in place. So that means they will not have just one server in one data center, not just having one server, or not just having one data center. They will have multiple data centers, and they will need to be able to implement what we call site resiliency. Site resiliency. So scale is reliable and is resilient. So if one data center, let's say in the event of disaster strike, like volcano eruption, like fire incident, storm, and all of that, and it destroyed the entire data center, they will replicate. Already your data is replicated to another data center or another server in another data center location, and it might not even be in the same region. It might be across different regions, maybe depending on what the policy says. In the United States, you have different countries, so they will you have different regions. You have the West region, you have the East region, you have the South region, and so on. So they will have data center in different regions and then replicate your data across those regions so that you don't fall a victim of disaster if anything happened to the entire data center. Security, as it concerns cloud, security is one thing that is very, very paramount and very robust with cloud services. Though you are allowed to bring in your own security or add additional security to your cloud resources or to protect your cloud infrastructure, But at the basic, the service provider or the cloud provider provides you a basic security policies, technologies, controls to help you ensure that the resources you are keeping with them are secure. Like I said, organizations have the right. They also now provide additional ones where you can buy and add advanced security on top of what they have already provided to you. And we cannot leave this completely to the service provider, considering the level of cybersecurity threat that is out there. So you wouldn't want to leave just the security that is provided by the cloud provider like that. You want to add additional security on top. Then it is manageable. So it's easy to learn. It's easy to understand. That's in terms of your technical people. They are able to manage it. A lot of resources in the cloud can be managed by you as an individual or as an organization. So let's now quickly look at cloud service type. Kind of, I've been talking. I didn't even ask if anybody have any question. Do we have question? Are we following? Hello? Am I sure I'm not the only one that have been here since?
No, we're here.
Okay, so are we following? Do we have questions or we want to wait till after?
I don't have a question at the moment, but I'm following.
Same here, no questions, I'm following.
Wow. Sorry, my browser just crashed. It's like it was wondering, oh, who asked you to stop? I think I'm really sorry about that. Kind of struggle to kind of bring it back up. So I was asking if we have any question. Oh, screen, window, screen. Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all
No
right,
questions from me.
okay. Thank you. We're rounding up this. I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. The whole thing just crashed. Okay. So this is not much anymore. It's just the final one. So for the last sub module under this particular module, one is cloud service types. For cloud service type, we're going to talk about infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and then software as a service. And we'll identify the different use cases available out there. So the most basic service type is, excuse me. The most basic cloud computing service category is the infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service actually allow you to pay as you go on IT infrastructure by renting servers. This one now, you are renting. Instead of you to set up your private data center, you want to go and rent and buy your rack, you just want to go and rent servers. So now, on which particular hardware this particular server you're renting is hosted, you won't have to bother yourself about it. You rent the servers in form of virtual machines, and you can rent storage, like we gave the analogy of the construction industry. You rent networking, and then the operating system that is from the cloud service provider. So it's a kind of pay as you go, and it's very agile, very fast to provision when it comes to provisioning the cloud, the infrastructure as a service. So this means you can, if you have maybe some line of business application that you are running before on your on-prem, and you still want to maintain that as against migrating into a platform, that's to maybe the platform as a service aspect, which we will talk about in a bit. You will be bringing that old application, you'll be bringing it and setting up a virtual machine in Azure, and they are allowed to host that application in the cloud, in whatever, it might not be only in Azure, it might be in Google or AWS. You are allowed to bring that application to the cloud. So instead of you buying hardware with IaaS, you rent it, and then it is instant computing infrastructure that is provisioned and managed over the internet. That is majorly infrastructure as a service. Just take it as like you are setting up your own data center, but now you are not setting up the physical building, you are not setting up the physical networking, nothing physical in terms of components that you are setting up. You are renting everything that has been set up by some service provider, and they are providing it to you in virtualized mode. Then we have the platform as a service. The platform as a service provides environment for building, testing, developing software application, and without focusing on managing the underlying infrastructure of it. So looking at the diagram, the image here, you have the infrastructure as a service. Even though you are using platform as a service and you are not concerning yourself with the an infrastructure, you will notice that it still have infrastructure behind it. You still need a building for the rack to sit in. You still need servers, storage, networking, and you still require security. So, but all of this is not going to be managed by you. It's going to be taken care of by the service provider. This is where you start your own, the infrastructure, the platform start from. When you are provisioning anything you are provisioning, you need to choose the operating system. It can be Windows, it can be Linux. But still, you don't have to manage the operating system environment. You won't have to log into the virtual machine to manage it. It's still managed by the vendor. Then your development tool, you can just bring it and start building. This is good for developers or ISVs. So that's independent software vendors that build applications, writing codes with whatever language. The platform will support the language that you are coming with. When we talk of language, we are talking about developer language, whether it's C#, whether it's Ruby, whether it's Python, whether it's .NET application, PHP application, whatever database you want to use, whether it's SQL, my SQL DB, or Oracle DB, you can bring it and then come and start. All you have to concern yourself about is just writing your code, testing it, and deploying it to production. That is all you need to kind of worry yourself about when it comes to platform as a service. You provide environment for developers and software companies majorly to create their software. Then finally, in the list of the most common platform as a service, software, most common cloud service model is the software as a service. The software as a service is a software that is hosted and managed by the end customer. Is hosted by the service provider, but managed by the customers. That's the individual organization that is subscribing to this service. Example of software as a service is Microsoft 365. Office 365 is a perfect example. Dynamics CRM is a perfect example. You are just coming to use, once you subscribe to the service, you just create your user, assign licenses, and people start using it. So that is a platform as a service. It's also all the underlying application has already been licensed for you. So you do not need to pay for the license. And this one you can pay monthly or on annual basis to the particular service provider. So, like you said, let's look at the use cases again. Example of software as a service is Microsoft 365. It's a SaaS solution. You have Office 365, you have SharePoint, you have Office application, you have Microsoft Teams, you have your email services. And if you look at this also, it also needs the underlying infrastructure. This time, we are adding even the platform on top. The Microsoft or the cloud provider will be the one to develop, choose the operating system, and develop the service, the application. They only give you access to come and access it from anywhere you are. And this access can be via any type of device, mobile devices, laptop, desktop, iPads, iPhone. So meaning the client you can use also supports different operating systems like a Mac operating system, Android and iOS operating system, and Windows operating system. So that is software as a service. Now, looking at the difference between the different type of service. So mind you, like I said, there are other services type. There's storage as a service, there's DB as a service, there's BI, that's intelligence or artificial intelligence as a service. They are all available, but these are the most common one that anybody will tell you about when it comes to cloud computing. So the infrastructure as a service service is actually the most flexible cloud service type. Flexible in the sense that you get to determine how you want to manage your own service. You get to determine when you want to upgrade the operating system. You get to determine when you want to apply a particular fix. So we have organizations that maybe they have a particular line of business application. They cannot just roll out updates to that particular server anytime they want. Hence, it will break the application. So in that way, they might need to first test the update, create a test environment, test the update first, and see the effects of that update. Then they will now determine if they want to now move it to production or roll it to production. So you can also configure and manage your hardware the way you like for the particular application in terms of how many hard drive, when you want to upgrade the size of storage, the type of storage you want to use, whether it's SSD option you want to use, standard HDD or advanced SSD you want to use. You get to make that choice for your application. You get to choose the size of RAM, the size of the CPU option. You get to choose all of those. The security that how you will secure your services in the IaaS space, you have to take care of that. You can even purchase firewall service or solution or product from other vendor and use to protect this service. Then platform as a service, on the other hand, allow developers to focus on developing their application. They focus majorly on development. So they don't have to bother about the operating system. They don't have to bother about even, yes, they can, they bother, yes, about the speed or how the application renders, whether it's slow or not. But if it is slow in rendering services to people or to their user, what they do is just liaise with the infrastructure team to help them do the necessary upgrade by scaling up or scaling out. Or it can also already be configured by the infrastructure team to say, okay, so auto scale as needed. So, but the developers don't need to bother about themselves about that. They focus on writing their codes, testing it, and rolling out to either UAT or production environment for their users. Then the management is handled by the cloud service provider. The platform management is handled by the cloud service provider. And then lastly, we have software as a service. The SaaS is a pay as you go pricing model. So this give you option to get different plans. So it's not usually a kind of one size fits all. So you can have different plan for different needs. An organization that is, it can be maybe based on the number of users you have, or based on the type of services you provide to your customer that might require some advanced tools or advanced services. That will determine on the type of plan that you will be going for under software as a service type. So I think yes, also for the software as a service, user pay for the software they use on a subscription model. Now, the difference between this software as a service, platform, or IaaS, there's another key difference. When we are talking about pay as you use, everything is actually pay as you use. But there is something that one need to take note of under infrastructure and platform. The fact that I can spin up a virtual machine now and install something on that virtual machine, an application on that virtual machine, and maybe in the next 3 months, nobody is using it. Then there's a request to spin up another one. I spin up another virtual machine, making 2. There is possibility for me to forget that there's an existing virtual machine which is currently not in use. It doesn't mean because you are not using it and nobody is using it, the fact that you have created it, you are going to be charged. You will be billed for it. So every resource you create, the same thing apply on that platform. Every resource you create, you will be paying for that specific resource. Unlike software as a service, depending on the plan you are going for, once you subscribe to that particular plan, it's only all the services that you have access to within that plan. It's not possible for you to say you want to add other services as time goes on, but majorly it is what you subscribe to that you will be that you will actually be charged for. You are not going to be paying for anything extra. So whether you use it or you didn't use it, what you have paid is what you have paid. But this, on the other hand, whether you use the service or you don't use it, they will continue to bill you often until you remove unused resources. Unlike here, on software as a service, you cannot remove a service. So a license, depending on the plan, a license contains all the features in that plan. You cannot say, okay, I bought Office 365, the small business premium, and the small business premium have email, it has Intune, it has SharePoint, it has Teams, it has OneDrive for business. You now say, okay, we have drivers that they just need to receive and send email. Okay, so I will just give them the email access within their license. That does not mean other features that you disable on that particular license for that driver can be transferred to somebody else. No. It's either the driver uses it or it does not use it. You have already paid for it. So you can decide whether you just leave it for the driver to use. But if you have scenario like that, you can also decide to say you go for plan that is only email. It doesn't have any other feature. And based on that, the price will even come down compared to you getting a plan that have more feature in it. So that is a key difference that we need to take note of as well. And then this actually marks the end of this first module. Apology for the first module is always all about talking, because we need to kind of have that understanding of have the background, basic understanding of what we are going to be going into from next week. So what we have reviewed in this module of cloud concept, we talk about the shared responsibility when it comes to cloud and against you having the on-premises and across the different service types. We talk about the different cloud service model, the public, the private, and the hybrid cloud service model. And we took a look at the benefits and the difference between the different model and the different service types. We talk about the service type in terms of platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and software as a service the cloud services. So this is the end of this session. I am now open to questions, contribution, and anything there is or are. So the floor is open. Do we have any questions? How was the class? I will also like you to let me know how the class went. So this is kind of to help me adjust maybe in the next class on probably how you want it to go. But like I said, this first module is all about talking. Next week, we'll be able to have access, and we'll be able to do some lab. Now, if you have access to students, let me bring a browser just very quickly. Can you still see can you see my browser? And slideshow. Yeah, can you see my browser? Hello?
I can.
Oh,
I can.
okay.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank
That's
you.
gone off now.
Gone off? No, it's still. Oh, okay. No, I'm still sharing. Can anyone see it? Hello?
No. Okay. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, thank you. So, if for us to prepare ahead of the next class, it would be nice if we can subscribe to Azure already before the next class. Like I said, there are different ways by which. One of the first way is to create Azure subscription using your credit card. So if you have your credit card, let me see. I think I already have something here. Okay, if you have your credit card, let's leave this one. If you have your credit card, just go to Azure. Azure trial. Let's see. Trade trial. Azure account. So you will need Microsoft account to sign up for Azure, and you will need your credit card, and you will also need a phone number. What's wrong with internet? You will need your phone. Now the phone that you are using have to be live phone, because they will send you a code or call you to give you a code for you to complete the sign up. Don't know what's wrong with my internet. It's been crashing. Maybe my browser. Other browser is available to use there. Okay. So, for those of us that have cards, we can just go to Microsoft.com. Let me get it. I think I have the URL somewhere here. Or you can just Google. Maybe it's my browser that is misbehaving. Let's just Google. Where to go now? Azure account. Okay, my internet is not helping me today. I hope it will be better next week. So you can just go to azure.com or yes, azure.com, or just Google on the internet, Azure account. Then make sure you have your Microsoft account with you. Then you see free trial. If you see free trial, just click on it to create one. My internet is now, I don't want to disconnect now and change because we've finished already. We've already overspent our time. So, but if, or yes, and so you have to use your card to kind of subscribe here. But if you do not have your card, if you do not have a card that you can use, another place you can go, like I said, if you are a student of a school, you can sign up using the, Microsoft students account option. I thought I kept these URLs. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, ma. Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I want to ask, what if you have let me just use myself as an example. I already have I had an account,
Okay.
an Azure account on portal.azure.com that I was using to deploy most of my models. But because of the pricing, they sent me a couple of emails that, for the pricing that I couldn't meet up with, and I think maybe they blocked my account or so because it was a $200 free student account that I was using initially. So I want to ask how I can renew and like get my account back, so I can maybe go back to make payments for most of the models I've deployed and start using the account again.
So that's are you asking to go to pay for it, to start paying for the service?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that is dependent if it has not been deleted. How long ago has it been as that access is?
November.
November.
Last year.
Oh no, it's gone. You have to start.
Okay, so how do I open the account with a different email? Like, how do I get another account?
So you need to create another email, Microsoft email. You can't use the same account to subscribe for it. You need to go get another Outlook account. But then, did you by any chance or at any time create an M365 developer account also?
No, I know that I just have this account that I don't know, as a guest of Textilers, that when like Textile is attached to your name also. I think it's a different email. I believe that happens to students when they register.
Okay, yes. No, you can't use that one. What you have to do is just create a new Outlook account. Yes, create a new Outlook account and then subscribe it all over again for it. That's it. That's how you can get it back. So once you finish the money on it, and then they send you a mail, if you do not maybe make decision to pay or to start paying, you only have 90 days. After 90 days, you will not be able to access it again. It will be deleted. That account will be deleted. But even though it's deleted, it doesn't free your Outlook account that you have used before. You still have to use another, a separately new account for it. Does anybody else have any question? What I would do is I'm trying to get my URL that I copied. I don't know where I kept it. So I will share the various URL on the chat before once we finish, so that I don't hold you down on the call. And then you can access it to get access to some of the subscription. See, my browser is crashing all the time. So then there's the Microsoft Learn Sandbox. Though it might be limited, but it will give you access to some resources. So for you to access the sandbox, you can go to where's my browser? You can go to aka.microsoft.com. That's for sandbox environment that's associated with Microsoft Learn. Go to browse aka.ms/az900/sandbox. So we can actually access this. But I have it open. Okay, I closed all my browser. But the browser is crashing. Go. What did I do today? This is serious. I have Firefox.
Hello, hello, Titi.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, I
Yeah.
can hear.
Do you want me to share my screen so you can use my screen
Okay, okay. Thank
to
you.
show? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. So,
Okay.
so right now, I ask for
Okay.
control.
Okay. Okay. You wanted. Okay. Okay. You want to use the
Yes,
screen.
or you can hear me
Okay.
browse. Maybe you can open, but you have to use a completely new browser.
So
that doesn't conflict with this one that you have already.
Okay.
That's
Okay. I
enough.
use the Yes, I use the different browser from the one I normally use. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Can you use open incognito?
Incognito. Okay. So use a different browser or
Yes.
go to another tab.
No, use a different browser.
Okay. Because I already have here too. On Edge, I have it, and I also have it here.
No, you open it in private mode. Private mode. That's right click on the taskbar. Right click on the taskbar and you see in private. Right click on the application. That's the browser on the taskbar. No, ma. Okay, we should be able to get on the taskbar, ma.
Yeah, I'm on the taskbar. Oh, the taskbar.
Yes. The browser, right click the browser. And select, yes,
incognito.
Yes, incognito. This one is in private for
Okay. 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 Yeah.
All right. So we can browse to aka.ms dot k.ms slash az900
aka.ms slash
dot ms slash forward slash az900
is
900 slash, that's forward slash sandbox.
yeah. That's it.
So okay, yes, hit enter, sir. Hit enter.
Okay. There's that 900.
Yes.
Mm.
So once you have this, scroll down, ma. Yes, you will see the exercises. So you can click this one, will help us to spin up. Click the anyone that have exercise, click the explore, the sandbox environment. Then because this is on Microsoft Learn, we'll have to sign into Microsoft Learn. So scroll down a bit. No, scroll down a bit. You will see, yes, sign in to activate sandbox. And you can use, I hope it will not conflict with the one you already have. Yeah, try that. Let's see. Okay. Yes, please. He's sending you a code. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then here you click next. This is just to create your profile. Let's click next. Select your region. Okay. All right.
So is there anyone you want me to select for this class?
No.
Anyone I want.
Yes, just select anything. Okay. Yeah, it's okay, ma. We can click next. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So it will, if you notice, what it's doing is preparing the environment for you. Okay. Now, once we finish this, we can then access the environment.
Where do you want me to go now?
Scroll up, man. Click this review permission. Accept and next.
So it's creating the storage account.
Yes. So the only thing with this is that it is limited. That's the feature is limited. It's just based on the exercise that you'll be able to. So it's not something that you can, do a lot of things with. So, but for those of us that are students, I believe we will have student ID. So we can actually we can subscribe for the students. Let me get the URL for us. Azure student subscription account. I copied it and put somewhere. I'm looking for
Yes.
it.
So this is done.
Yes. So
Succeeded.
it's now kind of to follow and so this means we can only use the sandbox environment depending on the lab that we want to do. And if you notice, like I said, it's limited. If you notice, if you scroll back up, this environment is available only for 1 hour for this particular exercise. So you need to do that for each exercises that you are going to be doing. So what we will do, we already have a compilation of all the exercises we will do at one point or the other. So this is how we can maneuver the exercises we are going to be doing. I'm really sorry. I will also try to make findings if we can secure some Azure pass that we can give to each and every one of us to just easily create without going through this stress of using the limited environment. So I will see if before next week if we can get something. I'm sorry about that. But Ma, please can you open a new tab and search for my internet, everything, a new tab on this browser and search for Azure students. No, not this one. A new tab.
Yeah, okay, I need to get off this. Minimize
No.
it.
You're okay here. You're okay.
A new tab here.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Search for Azure students, Azure student account. Yeah, that. So this is the page. Let me type it for us. HTTPS.
You want me to copy it and paste on the
Yes, ma'am, on the chat.
on the browser, yeah.
Yes. For those of us that are students that have email account assigned to us from various schools, you can use that. Though it's $100, but it will still help us. That one too will last for 30 days. unlike the sandbox environment that lasts for few hours. So please, let's all try to create subscription if we can, those of us that can. If you can't, please, before the week run out, before next class, drop message here or on the Discord channel that you have not been able to create your own. So I will see how I can work around it before our next class. I think that will be all. Does anybody have other questions? Thank you, man Franca.
Okay.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, guys,
Ta-
feedback.
Tamuno Toye has his hand up, his or her hand up. You have a question?
Oh yeah.
You forgot to put down your hand.
Is your hand not
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Papa.
thank you.